my gaming edge.
Hello MGE viewers, this is Kaidus from YYT Brigade. We're taking you through a playoff demo against YoYoTech from the Season 8 Premiership Relegation Playoffs. FB and YoYoTech finished on the same point, so we basically have to play off to decide who has to play another playoff game to decide who gets to play in the Premiership next season. So I'm going to hit resume and we're going to get underway here. I'm doing very standard rollout to the mid-battle, which means our soldiers and our scouts are going to be doing something you've probably seen 1,000 times before. One through house, one from cannon, maybe from the bow, going to go aggressive. So I'm trying to put out initial damage onto the players as they come to mid. I don't do particularly well, but then I catch a nade which sends me flying off course. Really nothing I can do once the nades hit me. I'm puts you down to a low health, so if I try and stay in the battle at that point, it's not going to end well for me, so I just do my best to get out alive. We exchange players, we each drop 2 players each. So we're going to hold choke like normal, we don't expect them to push right on. That scout on my left, I don't think he's aware that they're not going to push yet. So he's waiting to ambush the medic or something like that when he comes through. But now it's obvious they're not going to push. He's getting back into his standard place. Since it's a payoff game, YoYoTech are being quite hesitant to push. They obviously don't want to make any stupid mistakes because everything they've ever dreamed of and worked for is on the line in this game, so it's the way it goes. So we've lost a player now, so we're pretty sure they're going to push. We see the soldier coming from house, and a demo on choke, so we're not quite sure where the medic is at this point. They send both scouts to choke, which is quite unexpected, but what's actually even more expected is that Marilyn is about to drop Uber, so that's basically the entire defense gone to pot. It didn't start off very well for us. I went down because I didn't get Ubered, which I would have expected to, but it was quite an unpredictable way they pushed with both scouts suddenly from the choke. Really, I should have locked down the choke a bit better than I did, but once we dropped Uber, there was no hope, so we got quite rolled. Seems someone managed to get a pick on their med, however, so now we're working with pretty even Ubers, so I guess me holding up at last.
Time has been added.
I put my stickers on the point by default, because nowadays it's pretty commonplace to try and ninja the point while other things are going on in the push, and I find that by keeping stickies on the point, as well as simply obviously stopping the enemy team capping, it also throws them off their normal strategy, because I try and keep myself in a place where I can't be killed, and most last push strategies either involve focusing on the cap or killing the demo man early, or a combination of the two. So by doing that, it stops the point getting capped and confuses the enemy team, because a lot of teams, it's surprising, even the best teams, when they haven't got the target there they're planning on focusing on, they lose their heads a little bit and their focus goes, and the way they focus fire on targets tends to suffer because of it. So next thing goes out, he forces Uber and gets a pick. We lose a couple of guys, they lose a couple of guys. It's a pretty standard push so far. We're not in the best situation by standing on the point, but we had a little bit of Uber left as they came in. There was pretty poor timing from YoYoTech, really they could have done with delaying that several seconds. But Roy is ever the jammy person, should I say. Gets a double Uber shot and embarrasses the hell out of all of us in front of several hundred viewers. But I had nothing loaded, so there's really nothing I could do about that. When you're a demo that much loaded, you don't stand much chance because it is the slowest reloading class in the game. So once again, a standard rollout. I'm trying to do damage on anyone who's coming near me or anyone coming out of the house. So you see I'm spamming the nades in their path. They're taking damage, they have to avoid it, and it allows the soldiers to come in and go aggressive and do their damage. The soldiers are pushing hard on choke, so I'm going as fast as I can, trying to get damage out on the enemy. I see the medic drifting away here, so I just lightly pop him off because he's separated from his team. I can take my time, I don't need to rush my shots because I know he's got no help. And more often than not, when you're forced to panic and rush your shots, you're less likely to hit them. So that's a big advantage for us now. We have Uber advantage, and really we're expected to take this round without too much complication now. Since we weren't able to push right off the bat, we waited for the Uber to finish charging all the way. I have a sentry, so I'm with Demo trying to take the sentry down, but I didn't expect the sentry, so I didn't actually have the loadout to deal with it. Because it was a quick flowing push rather than one where we're spotting the inside of the point for a while, we didn't actually see the sentry, and it messed us up more than it really should have done. But I suppose it's well played to their scout for making the switch very quickly and predicting as he did. So now we've blown our Uber and we've switched the Uber advantage somewhat. I don't think we're at a particular disadvantage here, but certainly less than ideal. Yeah, we're only at about 10% difference, so they're not going to commit to their push. They thought they'd have a go at it, but they saw that we were in a good position to defend it, and better off to play safe again, because they're one up. It's a playoff game. There's really no point in taking risks. But anyway, Ubers are equal. We want to push. We're going to push from main. Both soldiers are going to jump. I'm not going to take too much of the Uber. I'm just going to stay on the main door and spam. I got a little bit more of the Uber there than I really needed, but we've come out on top of the initial push. We've done the damage. We have position now. A little bit silly of me to drop off there. I could probably have stayed on top and done more damage, but yeah. So we're slow pushing here. We're trying to stay on the edge and just deal damage gradually. Split their focus so they can't be doing damage from multiple targets all at once. Overextend a bit here and get very fortunate to get out. I got a little bit greedy because I suppose psychologically the explanation would be we did quite good at the start of the push, that it felt like a shame to not get anything out of it. But I get out okay, so X-Fame won't be too mad this time. No, we've come out with an Uber advantage after that little situation. I don't think their medic went down, but he certainly wasn't building properly. Once again, the sentry goes up. I'm not going to let it mess us up this time. It goes down. I go back out, but I'm not actually falling out of the push. I want to get a better position on tops where I can be safer and deal damage. So I'm just laying down some spam on the opponents, but there's no room to wheel in. We've lost players on the other part of the map, other side of the point, should I say. So again, we're just playing it safe. It's a playoff game. We don't want to take any risks. They have Uber. We didn't make them use in the initial push. This demo overextends, so I just take him out. And now that they've lost their demo, they don't really have a whole lot of presence on the area, so we're able to defend the point. Again, we're not overcommitting, we're not going in too aggressively, we just want to spam them away and hope for Eri to be a little genius and backcap last. That's the famous Fackle Cap for you, where we do absolutely nothing particularly good and we get a sneaky little cap. Not the most advisable strategy, but always take the chance when it opens up to you. So again, nothing much has changed on the mid. I'm just trying to deal damage to the demo when he comes and the soldiers as they come out of the house. I'm taking quite a lot of damage, but I don't want to fall out too far because I know Miralin wants to heal me as soon as he comes to the point. So I stay in, I've got good health again, I'm dealing out the damage. But we've lost a scout and a soldier and generally our entire presence on the point. So we're falling out again here. We have Uber, so we are going to defend the point. Even though we lost a couple of guys, we had time to wait for them to respawn. We're only one player down. So we have Uber now, and we're not in any real good situation to make them use it without overextending ourselves. But we send a player on them to suicide and make sure they use Uber. And while they're focusing on that play, I figured we could try and block, we could try and put up a defense. I do some decent damage even though I die, and Leon and Ari are able to put up some more defense. At this point we're basically just delaying, because they haven't got the force to go aggressive on the Spire. And so we're just making sure they can't take it, they can't come aggressive. We don't actually need to kill them here because we now have a small Uber advantage and we have players respawning and on the way. Including me, so I'm now back in the fray. So we have Uber, which means we can move forward to the choke and hold properly. It's always better to hold choke when you can, because obviously it's not near the point, so your focus isn't split from blocking the point and obviously defending your players and killing players. But if you don't have the means to hold choke, i.e. a substantial Uber disadvantage or a player disadvantage, then it's always better to hold behind the Spire, because there's a long area in which you can spam and force their Uber early without overextending yourselves. So once again we're at a standoff. We did have a small Uber advantage, but it wasn't really enough to take the risk of committing to a push. So now YoYoTech are pushing in. They've launched a soldier. Rather than focus a soldier here, I'm basically trusting my team at the start to take him down, so I can stop the rest of their team following up on anything he does by spamming the choke down. I didn't see him die, so I turned around eventually and just made sure he was going to die, because yeah, while I have trust in my team, it's also good to understand that sometimes people don't hit their shots and sometimes things do go wrong. And basically because they're not overextended, they suicided that soldier, so we had the player advantage, so that basically opened things up so we could counter push on them. Again, because it's a playoff game, they didn't defend because they had a one-man disadvantage. It's a bit questionable, but they don't want to take risks. Unlike us, though, we're just going in with Uber from the resup side, but we got called early, so this push isn't going particularly well. Kind of hanging somewhere in between pushing and not pushing. The comms are a little bit askew here, so I'm basically blind because of my positioning. But eventually we get our shit together and we regroup on the bridge. Whenever pushes go wrong and players aren't together or clear on what everyone's doing, it can be good to just regroup so that everyone has a good understanding on the situation.
Time has been added.
So we take the point. No medics have died, so we're basically we're basically going to wait for the Uber, for a nice Uber versus Uber push. It's not ideal. It's much better to have a flowing push if you can, so they don't have a chance to mount a proper defense. For example, YoYoTech been using sentries a lot so far this game. We push as soon as we get Uber, hoping maybe they have built up poorly. But we're getting backcapped. I'm the nearest person, even though it's not really great to use a demo, because obviously he's good on the front line rather than watching silly things like backcaps. But it became apparent there wasn't anyone really near enough to deal with it, apart from me. I'm not quite sure why YoYoTech are attempting to push here. They haven't got Uber, they are a player down in fact. I don't think they realise it, so they're going to go back. Whoa! Sorry guys, punched my microphone. Right, so once again we're going to be going for a push down main. They have a sniper, I think it was called. I would assume anyway, otherwise I don't really understand why I would have gone over the top. Perhaps I wanted ammo, who knows. The game was quite a while ago now. So what you just witnessed there was a classic case of playoff nerves. basically we wanted to push, but everyone was a little bit nervous. Everyone didn't quite know how we were going to do it, how we were going to approach it. So what we did was we stood around, we did absolutely nothing, which is absolutely the worst thing. YoYoTech are counter pushing and making a rather botched job of it. We're getting quite a lot of picks on them. They've lost 2 or 3 guys now. They only have a couple of people alive, so this should be quite an easy take for us now. They haven't got Uber, we've got 6 guys. So I'm just going to go and stand on the point like a hero. Plus 2 points. I'm a little bit slower to mid than I'd like to have been. I'd like to be on the kit 46, 47, only 45 this time, and it shows because the demo's quite early on their team. They push damage out. Their coolest coming canyon, so I back off, precautionary measure. I take down the soldier because obviously I expect him. But while we're focusing on their soldiers, Mackinson, the demo, and Walters, the scout, are just essentially raining the pain. They're taking advantage of us being preoccupied with the soldiers. That can be put down to partly a well-executed strategy from them, but also because of poor initial damage from us. Because Mackinson was so much earlier than me to mid, he was basically able to do a lot more damage than me. So once again here, I'm sticking the point. I don't want them to cap. We haven't got Uber to defend with, so it's their chances are they're going to have been playing for the point rather than the kills. So by keeping the point stickied, it interferes with that plan. So now we actually have a 1-man advantage here, and we're doing quite good at defending, considering we don't have Uber. I'm actually able to hold it in the end and keep our medic alive, so now we have a substantial Uber advantage. And we'll hopefully be looking to push out, provided nothing goes wrong in between now and the next 20 seconds. Alright, so we've got 90%. We're trying to push out immediately. I'm going from Balk while the combo is going from left side. We're getting a scout on the cap while me and X-Vane are basically just pushing the enemy back, not letting them block the spire. Sorry, not me and X-Vane, me and Leon. Leon here, in my opinion, overextends. There was not enough Uber time or enough players of us on the choke to do that push. Sometimes they say it's better, even if someone's doing the wrong thing, it's better to play together than to split up, even if some people are doing the wrong thing. But in that situation, if I'd followed Leon up, all that would happen was we'd have both died and Merlin would be left on his own. So a little bit of miscommunication, but at least we only lost the 1 soldier rather than the entire combination.
Time has been added.
Familiar sight this game is the last CP, but yep, they're pushed from lower left. We haven't got Uber to defend with. I have Stickers on the point, however, I'm keeping the point sticky. Like I said, I don't want them to cap it because that's their game plan. But the force was just too much. We didn't have position because of the pace in which they pushed. Like, we were still falling back as they were making their push, so basically we didn't have the chance. Like I said earlier in the demo, if you don't give the enemy the chance to set up their defense, you have a lot more chance of taking the point. That's exactly what they did. So I see them coming from Canyon. I haven't got the health to overlook and spam down on them, so I'm just playing it safe, sticking up the shithouse and spamming my nades, hoping to catch someone. Merlin gives me the heals. A scout comes from the shithouse. That shouldn't really have happened, but it's TF2 basically. The scouts couldn't watch it properly because of the aggressive Canyon push. But even though I go down, YoYoTech actually have lost quite a few players, and we've managed to gain presence on the point once again. So we're going to actually recap here, which is quite surprising, based on how this initial push went.
Time has been added.
So we have Uber now. They're going to be able to get Uber because their medic didn't go down. We have half our players on the way to mid, however, so and they still have a demo down, so we're going to be looking to push pretty quickly here. And if we don't, it's our loss because they're not going to have stickies. They're not going to have a proper defense mounted. So yep, they're still quite close, but they haven't got demo support, so we have the advantage here. We should be looking to do a lot. We force it Uber nice and early. They counter force, but still, we get the pick. We have everything going for us here. They're They're falling back to the right, so basically we need to start getting someone on the point at this point because we want to push them, we want to make them go back. We have the players capping, so now we need to push aggressively onto their combos so they can't block the cap. They lose players, they've lost 3 players now. This is a roll, this needs to... We need to follow up now, we need to just go straight to last immediately while they still have the players down. The 2 alive, we're being quite slow, slower than we should be, but it's going to be fine. Let's just sticky the point. Players get on the point, they get baited onto the point. We cap the point. As you see, I missed my sticky there. Really, I should have gone bout because that cost me a second that I really don't want to lose out on. But luckily, Macassam's slow this time, so it hasn't cost anything too much. So their soldiers are launching on me here. We need to get more focus on those soldiers because now I've completely lost all presence on the point. Even though their soldiers didn't do much damage, I couldn't stay there because close range, a soldier jumping on you. When you don't have the ability to see it coming and lay stickies around the ground, defensive stickies, you don't have much choice. So we just back out safely rather than getting ourselves rolled. We did lose Maryland, however, so we cannot defend Spire. They're going to have a full Uber versus our 0 Uber. Because I have time here, I'm putting some stickies on the point that are harder for the enemy team to deal with than regular stickies. They cannot just simply shoot the stickies or rocket the stickies because they're on the rim of the point and it's very time consuming to get rid of them. This makes my job a lot easier because I don't have to be constantly relaying them. It is something I should do more often than I currently do. That was very unfortunate. We held out quite good at the start. We got a few picks and we didn't lose any key members. But we also didn't have anyone on the point at all. Like, stickies will only go so far. You do need players to block the cap as well. And they got a little bit too much time on it and the demo was just able to slip on it. It was quite fortunate for YoYoTech. Let's welcome Balk. And our soldiers have gone canyon. I had to come back because I took quite a lot of damage through the window. The point's got absolutely no one on it. And I'm trying to go forward, but elsewhere we're losing too many players.
Time has been added.
So this is a very, very bad situation. We have a soldier in lobby and the enemy team pushing on us from behind Spire. There's nothing really to do here but to try and force their Uber, and I can't even do that. So that's not too good. However, it did actually take them quite a while. So in theory now we can force a Uber because they haven't capped Spire or gained much presence on Trash. As you see, X-Bane has bombed on them and forced their Uber. And that is because while they were pushing, they were too focused on me and Miralyn to actually start capping the point. So they didn't get enough presence on the area.
Time has been added.
So now, no team has Uber, but we actually have an Uber advantage. So that's good play to X-Fane and poor play to YoYoTech. Scores are even at 3-3. We have an Uber advantage, but because of the way in which we gained the Uber advantage, we're probably a little hesitant to push because we're not entirely sure what Uber percentage is going. As you might have just seen from the corner of my screen, Mirror and X-Bane having some miscommunication, and that's provoked YoYoTech to come and push. They're 3 down and we're 2 down, so really we just need to get good positioning here. We don't need to be panic playing on the floor. We need to lock down the doors, not let them come back in. Once again, it's an Uber versus Uber situation, something that you've seen a lot of so far this game. Yeah, we don't have a soldier particularly close to Maryland as they push, so I take over the role of having some of the Uber this time. And arguably as a consequence of taking over that role, I didn't have any kind of focus on the point, which is something I would normally have done. So they're able to walk on the point with grey numbers and cap it. I'm not entirely sure what was occurring on the left side there. This push has started off horribly for us onto mid. They have entire presence on the point. I'm grossly out of position. Really, I don't think I should have gone out of house there. I didn't do initial damage. We lost a scout immediately.
Time has been added.
It was a poor decision to go out. We should have cut our losses very early then and just not contested. But as for everything in TF2, we did gain something out of it, that being that their medic has dropped, so we can actually go back in and take the point now. Arguably that's not really down to any kind of well-played strategy, it's just quite fortunate. But nonetheless, we're taking advantage of it. We've Ubered now, but we've got presence on the point, we have the cap quite locked down.
Time has been added.
But we did have to Uber, so now we do have an Uber disadvantage. We're losing, so it would be quite painful to lose the midpoint here because there is only a couple of minutes left and we do need to take some rounds, at least one round. We're holding far back, but like I said earlier, close enough to do damage to them as they push, so that at the very least they will use their Uber, because we have 70% now, so if as long as they don't cap, we will get Uber in time to stop them from actually getting anything from their push. So they've used their Uber, we're now 90%, they've only just started capping the point, and we have a back cap going on, so we're going to go in here and roll through. They know they have to drop out, they haven't got anyone to block that back cap. And that's basically a very, very well executed play. I'm going to actually just pause here at 234,396, just to reiterate on what I said, because there was a lot going on. Okay, so basically, even though we didn't have Uber, we were only 30% or so from Uber as they got their Uber and began to push. So, as they pushed, we didn't want to lose anyone, because obviously that's never good, but we had to stay close enough so that they would use their Uber. As well as that, we wanted them to not be able to get started capping the point particularly early. Making them use Uber adds to that, because obviously once they Uber, they want to use the Uber for something worthwhile, meaning there's less people to cap. Meanwhile, our scouts were in position to go for a back cap, so we forced the Uber as they came in and backed off so we didn't lose anyone in particular. They started capping just as we got on 90%, and just as our scouts started back capping. So if you're YoYoTech in that situation, you have the combo coming at you, 5% from Uber, and a scout behind you, and no Uber to defend yourselves with. So they were forced to begin to back off because of our Uber push, but also because of the back cap. So that splits their focus and basically enables us to sandwich them entirely. This back cap was particularly good because we actually had a scout running to their last as well, so we were able to cap both points. But even without that added bonus, that was still pretty much a perfectly executed back cap and counter push. And it's really the type of thing you should be aiming to achieve when you almost have Uber as a team pushes your CP3. So anyway, let's resume and watch the unfolding 2.5 minutes. Right, not the best, not really the best way to go into the final round of a playoff game, but we cope with it. I tell my team I've completely messed up, so we go from Canyon. We're not very comfortable actually doing this, but their soldiers come incredibly aggressive on us, but don't actually get any kills. Well, they pick Maryland, but they die in the process, and that leaves us with actually a 4-on-2 situation. Even though our medic went down, they lost far too many players for it to have been a worthwhile trade-off, and we're now able to just go forward with this. Their medic did not go down, however, so they are going to have Uber, and they are going to
Time has been added.
be able to, maybe if they don't hold Spire, they will at least be able to push out from last, should they choose to. Keep in mind it is a playoff game, and pushing up from last is never a guarantee. So they may just play it safe and wait it down for the golden cap. But nonetheless, worst case scenario is that we have to just drop back and we still hold middle before we get Uber, because there's no chance of them taking both. They don't push, obviously because it's a playoff game, they don't want to take risks, but I would imagine they will be quite turtled up on last with a heavy, I've just heard, and maybe an NG, maybe not. So we've lost a guy now, but since there's not very long left in the game, there's not really enough time to wait for him to respawn. So we're just going to go ahead in anyway. The push doesn't succeed, and there's not long enough left to do anything with the aftermath of the push. So this game is just going to go to golden cap now. This has been Kaidus for My Gaming Edge. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be up with another video very soon.